you're really screwed. So we won't even talk about that right now. So let's assume you have insurance. Very good. Now we have to think, how is that insurance paid for? Obviously your premiums. If you're employer-based, it's part of your salary and you still pay for it. If the government pays for it, it comes from your taxes. Let's take a simple situation. You go to your doctor. He examines you and bills you or your insurance company for every dime he can. Office visit, lab tests, x-rays, you pick it. Why? Because he's allowed to do it. A friend was prescribed a walker, which cost $35 on the open market. But the insurance company was billed and paid $233 for the same walker. Sure, the folks had insurance, but who do you think actually paid the excess? Think, folks, think. Do not misunderstand. I think doctors should be paid as much as possible. Their training and diligence is beyond any scope of what I can pay them. But the system now allows for abuse, and we, the people, are paying for the abuse. In the same simple scenario, the doctor finishes his exams, tests, and etc. at the highest rate allowed. And you're told you have to come back one more time for an evaluation. This is the doctor verifying his own work, and you again have to pay for it. Make that last office visit free and see how many are scheduled. This one change would save billions in billing, naturally saving on your premium costs. My point here is we can adjust the fair and equitable compensation to doctors, hospitals, the medical field, to include pharmaceuticals and medical supplies. We have allowed the costs and payments to increase. What would stop us from making the costs go down? If legislation is required, then by all means legislate. If Medicare needs to readjust its payout schedules, then how difficult would it be to just do it? If you're indigent and there's a true emergency, by all means give treatment with no regard to payment. However, if you just show up in the ER with your entire family because you have a cold, then you should be required to pay some amount up front. You can't go to the supermarket and demand they give you food, or the clothing store and get outfitted. You'll get rejected. To quote an author, Tan Staffel, there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. Again, I address our legislators. Close the loopholes, or at least make them harder to get through. It can't be that difficult. Some people will say we are entitled to free health care. My answer is, who the hell told you that? We are not entitled to free food, free rent, free cars, or free gas. Nothing is free. Somewhere, somebody has to pay for you for what you consider free. Again, think. In closing, this is not just about single issues like the many examples shown here. The purpose of this video is to ask all people to sit back and start being pragmatic realists. Take note of what your party is doing. It's not a Democratic, Republican, Independent, Conservative, or liberal issue. Look closely at the elected officials, what their biases are, and how it affects you, your family, and your friends. Sit back and say, is this something that is good for America? Or is it just a value to a special interest group? No matter what they say it does, you have to do some research and find out if they are actually telling you the truth. The days of blind faith are gone. Take a really close look at all of the things that have been presented in just the last 10 years, and especially what has been presented in the past 7 months, and determine for yourself if this is good for America. Well over 1 million people gathered using their own money and time to show their displeasure with what is being offered to them for a short and long-term government. Every person had their own specific gripe, and all of them were justified. Whether you like it or not, I address you, our elected officials, and tell you to start remembering who you actually represent. I thank you for watching this video, and thank you, America.